Evening everybody, Matt Hall is in, straight in. How are we? It's 10 o'clock. Vishal is here. We are live again. Oh, I'm about a minute late, but I had to get a coffee, guys, I'm afraid. So it took a little minute. But how are we doing? Is everybody all right? It's been a couple of days since we were last scoping. Archie's here. Archie, good evening. Hello. Last scope we did was book club, all about Lewis Howe's book. Matt, I know you've got the book now, saw you Instagram it, which is awesome. Hope you're enjoying it. Kim, good evening. Yas is in the house. We're getting everybody's in. This is awesome. Good starts to the week. Hey Archie, how are we doing? Yeah, let me know how your weekend's been before we start. Let's let everybody join. For those who don't know me, if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for watching it on the replay as well. If you're watching it on the replay on Periscope, you can't comment like these guys can, but you can still heart it up. Or if you're watching it on YouTube, because I record all my scopes to YouTube, you can't heart it up or comment on it, but you can at least leave a comment underneath. How are we doing, Nina? All right? I'm all right, thanks, Kim. I've had an incredibly busy weekend, but the bonus is Bulletproof Actor is coming on. 2 units have been filmed and almost edited. Girly Whirly, good evening. For those who don't know what Bulletproof Actor is, I'm an actor, by the way. My name's Ross, and I am plugged in. Kim, thank you very much. I'm a voiceover artist as well from Manchester here in the UK, but everyone on these scopes now, I'm sure it's not just me. I always say, like, it's just me that I'm obsessed with mindset and productivity and motivation and positivity and stuff, but everybody is. All those names you've just seen, we're all absolutely obsessed with it now. I watched Cradle to Grave this weekend. I was in that, Kim. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, that was good. Great Peter Kay comedy. Got to work with Peter Kay growing up. Well, not growing up, I was probably about 20 when Felix Nights came out, of Peter Kay's, but I was like, got to work with this guy one day, and then was very lucky to get the opportunity to do that earlier this year, which was awesome. So yeah, Bulletproof Actor is a mindset course that I'm bringing out later this year. You guys on the scope will get access to it early, and if anyone else is watching the scope and they're not part of our Facebook group, our secret Facebook group, Felix Nights was top, Archie, then get yourself over facebook.com/groups/Bulletproof Actor. Laura is here as well. Good evening, Laura. How are you? So yeah, tonight's scope, the subject for it has come about because of all of the filming that I've been doing this week on Bulletproof Actor. And the fact that all the time I have this tendency, or I have done particularly in the past, to make everything, you need to remind me about aeroplane mode, Kim, I've had the tendency to make everything perfect. And anyone else who feels the same way, that sometimes in their life they want things to be so perfect that it ends up making them less productive, hard it up now. If you experience that, or you just like, you know, I think as actors sometimes, I've met a lot of actors who are like, oh, like I can't contact an agent yet because I don't have my headshots right, or I don't have my show reel exactly how I want it. And I'm the one saying to them, oh my God, like, you know, you've got to just do this and go out there and do it, and don't be afraid and, you know, of aiming for perfection, because you can never achieve it. Done is better than perfect. It's absolutely done. And now here's me this weekend, who thought that I'd got through that phase, going, oh goodness, am I shooting in 25 frames a second, 24 frames a second? You know, is this animation exactly right? All this kind of stuff, and I'm going, Ross, you just need to film this stuff, because done is better than perfect. I know the content is great. So it made me start, well, being a little bit curious about perfectionism. I looked up a few things online and read some really interesting things for tonight's scope. I'm such a perfectionist, which means I'm really hard on myself. Yeah, absolutely, that's another thing as well. People can be very harsh on themselves when they're striving for perfection. Can't even speak, never mind perfection. Sasha, good evening, good to see you. So tonight's scope, guys, is based on a wicked article that I read, all about a professor of perfectionism from it's from the Toronto, well, the York University in Toronto, a guy called Gordon Flett. And tonight we're looking at why perfectionism is your #1 enemy in getting shit done and being happy. Okay, because I've experienced this firsthand this weekend, and I thought, like always on these scopes, if I'm experiencing this, everyone else has got to be experiencing this as well. Happy birthday, Sasha. When was your birthday, Sasha? Tell us. We can all give Sasha some hearts for her birthday. Come on. How old, Sasha? Sasha's about 21 or something, aren't you, Sasha? You're dead young. 20? Something like that. Let us know. And we'll get everyone in the Facebook group to sing happy birthday to you. I'm not going to do it on the scope. I'll tell you that. So yeah, let us know how old you are, Sasha, and then we will begin on our route to perfection. It's today. 24! I didn't see you, because you look about 16. Sasha, that's why you can definitely, your playing age is, you know, you can do like 16 at 24, easy. So happy birthday, everybody's sending their birthday wishes. So like I say, this was based on an article that I'll link to in the Periscope replay. So if you're watching the replay this on actonthis.tv, which is where I post all the replays, then have a look on this video, and there'll be a link to a PDF that you can download of this article. Thanks everybody. Awesome, Sasha. Well, there you go, Sasha. For your 24th year on the planet, let's not aim for perfection, let's aim for getting stuff done, and this is how we're going to do it. So I'm going to read you, I've got some slides as always. You can screenshot these, like I say, or you can always just download the PDF. So it says it's easy to get swept up in a personal cult of perfection, right? I'm sure we all relate to this. Laura wishes she was 24, but maybe that's just aiming for perfection, Laura. Let's just roll with the ages we are. So look at the millions dazzled by Steve Jobs. I'm one of them. I thought Steve Jobs was a fantastic guy in terms of what he created, you know, the late CEO of Apple, but he was really renowned for being a perfectionist. There's all the many who strive to bring Mary Berry level intricacies to their cake making. That's all I could think of. I thought Mary Berry is a load of people still bigging it up after the Great British Bake Off. But the reality is actually much darker than this. People think perfectionism is a positive trait, but it's not. Perfectionism is actually linked to early mortality, depression, anxiety, you know, as well as significantly higher suicide rates. It's insane, the stats I was reading before. And this is by a guy called Gordon Flett, PhD. He's a professor of psychology at York University in Toronto, and he's a leading expert on perfectionism. Kim loves Mary Berry. We all love a bit of Mary Berry. But behind the mask of invulnerability that the perfectionists like to give off, you know, perfectionists are actually hiding a world of pain. And I've seen this in a few people who I've met in the acting industry as well. You know, particularly filmmakers and stuff who won't put anything out there unless it's absolutely perfect. And they go and they shoot something that's great, and then just because like one little bit of it isn't absolutely perfect, it's like, oh, the whole thing's ruined, can't do it then. And it's like, oh, it's just a whole world of pain. Perfectionism also sort of stops people from ensuing and you know, kind of chasing like anything to do with like change in their life, going after things that might require big changes, because perfectionists don't like change effectively. They don't like uncertainty. They don't like anything that they're not sure of. So it's just any level of life change, stepping out into a new career, sizing up retirement, or even pursuing a new hobby, just makes perfectionism worse. So Gordon says this, says during times of change, the perfectionist is more likely to be paralysed. So who's ever felt that? And perfection is subjective as well, Nina. Yeah, absolutely. So your idea of perfection could be somebody else's idea of hell, I guess. Definitely. But who's ever wanted to do something and then gone, oh, that's too big a change, and just felt paralysed in the situation? He says perfectionists typically don't like uncertainty, situations where there's a lack of control or any sense of ambiguity. That arouses feelings of self-doubt and maybe even inferiority. So sometimes when you want to step into something new you've not done before, you know, and you go, well, I'm not going to be able to do this brilliantly, so all the other people there who are going to be better than me are going to laugh at me. You feel inferior, and you just go, forget it, I don't want to do it. So instead of, you know, instead of sitting back, you know, hitting the pause button like they should do, you know, and opening themselves up to explore the world, you know, of welcome change, perfectionists often don't do that. They just become more likely, you know, and to become obsessed, you know, with work or some other form of activity, something that they're already great at, that they can perfect, as opposed to stepping out of their comfort zone and doing something that isn't going to be perfect. Ambiguity is definitely a nemesis for me. So explain then, Sam, what do you mean by that, in terms of what experiences have you had where that's affected you? Because yeah, let us know. This is stuff that we've all, no doubt, we've all experienced elements of all this stuff. As well, and this is the main thing that I read in this article that I thought this is really interesting, because the problem is we'll all be sat there going, no, this isn't us. So the problem's actually compounded because the 2 or 3 out of 10 people who fit the textbook description of perfectionist often don't realise it. So there's like, I mean, how many? We've got 11 people at the moment who are tuned into this. So that means there's 3 who do fit the perfectionist description exactly. Do you know it though? Do you think it's you? I reckon it's definitely, it could easily be me, without a doubt. And this is something that I thought I'd kind of gotten over until I started shooting these videos this weekend. Sasha says it's there as well. Definitely, I think if we're not careful, it's absolutely incapable of all of us. You know, we're all capable of this. So perfectionists just think that they have, Rooty Toots, good evening, they just think that they have high standards and are surrounded by slackers. So if you ever think that, you might well be a perfectionist as well. But there's a big difference between pursuing excellence and pursuing perfection, Flet says. So you can produce things that are excellent, that aren't perfect, and that's the key to it, effectively. You're just realising that actually, you know what, as long as your standards are high and you demand a lot from yourself and a lot from other people around you, that no matter what you do, it's never going to be perfect, because that doesn't really exist. But whatever you're going to do is going to be excellent. It's going to be of a certain standard. So therefore, that is okay. It doesn't have to be absolutely flawless before you put it out in the world. And I think people are becoming more and more accepting of this. For instance, the app that we are on at the moment, Periscope. Sam says, my mind goes in overdrive making up situations that are so far removed, but I make myself feel real. Yeah, well, we talked about that on Scopes before. Your body doesn't know that it's not real. Ruth says she's late. Doesn't matter, Ruth, it's all right. Just been an excellent, not perfect minder session. Brilliant. I'm glad it was excellent and it wasn't perfect. So I was saying, right, the very app that we are on, I'm actually, I got invited by Periscope to be a beta tester. So the version of Periscope that I've got, that I'm running at the moment to do this on, is actually kind of like a beta version of it. It's not the release version, it's one that they're testing, and through me using it and reporting back to them, it helps them iron out the bugs. And I think as society, we're kind of, you know, we're coming round to that a bit more, particularly with software. So whenever we get a piece of software released, we know there's going to be bugs, and we're used to hitting that update button on it so that we get a new version that fixes those bugs. I think we need to kind of flip that into our lives a bit more and go, you know what, we know there's going to be bugs in our life, in us, in the work that we do, but until it's out there, we can't update it, because sometimes people keep it in their head. So if you've got something that you want to do, but you are a perfectionist and you're suffering from this stuff, you know, these kind of symptoms that we're talking about, then the likelihood is you're never going to get that idea out of your head, and that's a real shame, because you can't perfect on something until it's actually done. So let's have a little look further. It says, while it's easy to focus on the achievements of famous perfectionists, so we just mentioned Steve Jobs and people like that, it's also easy to overlook the tremendous personal price perfectionists pay. Many people are driven by the idea that if they achieve this ideal, so become the perfect actor, you know, I don't think that exists, but if they think it does, then fair enough. They want to become the perfect actor, for example, or the world's best parent. You know, people always, parenting is I'm not a parent, but, you know, parenting is always one of those things that people, you know, wish they could have been better at, or, you know, or striving to get better at all the time. They believe that people will love me and respect me, you know, but in reality, they're very lonely people. So Gordon says in his book, he says, you know, no one wants to work with them. People ask to be put on different shifts, you know, and won't even ride in the same elevator as some of these people, because their standards are so high, and they're so adverse to change. So it says, surprisingly, and this is what I experienced this weekend, productivity suffers too. An obsession with details typically means perfectionists get less done. This was me on Saturday morning going, I've got to film these 2 units of Bulletproof Actor. It's over an hour's worth of video to film. You know, and how am I going to get it all done? What am I going to do in terms of technical stuff, the frame rate of the video I'm shooting, the lighting, how I set the backdrop, all this kind of stuff was stopping me from really just getting stuff done. It says our research has shown that professors with perfectionistic tendencies publish less than others. So this is in Flet's industry, you know, in psychology. So the professors who are perfectionists actually publish less papers. Were they better papers that they publish? Nope. They had less impact than those produced by non-perfectionists. There's no big payoff to perfection. So it just shows, you know, I could have spent, if I hadn't have got my act together, the rest of Saturday tweaking these lights. I've got 3 big lights here that are on at the moment. You know, I've got an auto cue system set up over here. I've got a camera, I've got the backdrop, all these things that I wanted to tweak. Even down to literally what's called an f-stop, so the amount of light you let through the front of the camera into the aperture of the camera, which will light up and balance the whites within the image. I'm like, should it be 4.5? Should it be 5? If I'm shooting at 25 frames per second, that means my shutter speed should be 50. What if I want to shoot at 24 frames a second? Well, my shutter speed should be 48, but I can't get 48 because the camera only does 50, and I'm going, oh, what should I do? Eventually I was like, Ross, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day the content is brilliant and that's all that matters. I've just got to make the content, get it out, because as we said before, done is better than perfect. So how do we get rid of these tendencies? Yeah, no, please breathe. I'm gonna breathe. I've got a toffee nut latte, Sam, I'm alright. And I also put my Christmas album on Saturday just to chill out, because it's nearly Christmas and I felt a lot better after that. So here we go. Gordon has got for us, he's got three rules really that he thinks are really good, you know, that are really good to remind yourself of in order to squash this perfection tendency. So let's have a look at these 3 rules. Rule number 1, he says, yeah, Archie mate, I love Christmas so much. We're gonna do a lot of fun Christmas scopes, I'm telling you. So rule number 1, he says, crank up your connections. Right, so because perfectionists are typically self-reliant and they want to do things by themselves, finding more ways to connect with other people is a plus. So who here, have you heard of, like, rather than entrepreneur, have you heard of the term solopreneur? There's a lot of people who think they can do everything. It used to be me in year 1 of Acts on This, so 5 years ago almost, when I was doing Acts on This, I wanted to do everything myself. And I soon realised that you can't do that. There's certain things that, you know, I just can't do that other people can do better. And back-end developing of the website is one of those, so I employ people to do that. I used to try and do it all on my own because I was a perfectionist. I thought no one can do it as good as me. Well, of course they can. Fletch says people can even tend to be perfectionist about emotions. So this is interesting. Sasha said she did that too until I recently found some great acting friends. Yeah, great, Sasha. So any sign of distress in a perfectionist person can also be taken as failure, which is insane to think about. It helps them to see that anxiety and uncertainty are a natural part of change. So it's not that perfectionists are just often perfectionists about what they produce. They're perfectionists about how they feel. So who's ever, remember one of the first scopes that we did right back at the very beginning when we did 30 scopes back to back? One of them was a challenge people to go on a thought diet, basically, where if they ever thought of any negative thought and they noticed themselves thinking a negative emotion, they would catch themselves doing it and they would consciously flip it. And I said, you've got to go 5 days on the trot without, you know, in control of that. And if you have a negative thought for more than 60 seconds, Vishal's still doing it. Oh my God, Vishal, amazing, amazing. So yes, I said if you go for more than 60 seconds on any one of those days with a negative thought in your head, you have to start again from day 1 the next day. So if you'd gone 4 days and on the 5th day of the challenge, where you would have completed the challenge, you have a negative thought in your head that lasts more than 60 seconds, you're back to square 1, you've got to go day 1 again tomorrow. Some people who I've given that challenge to enjoy that. Kim's still trying to do it. Something that I'm trying to be conscious of all the time, Kim, but you know, it's something that just becomes ingrained in you after a while. But some people we first set that challenge to, they like the idea of that and they like it, oh, it's a challenge, you know, and they almost, you know, it's a bit of a novelty, like, oh, okay, right, I've got to start again, I'll do it again tomorrow. Other people look at that as they've let themselves down. They're this perfectionist type people and they feel even worse about that, and I'm like, no, the outcome of this was not to not to compound the negativity, it was to pull you out of it. But they feel like, oh, I went 4 days, I was doing so well, therefore I've let myself down, oh, forget it, I might as well not do it. Same people who go to the gym for 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time, feel great, then have a pizza and go, oh, well, it's all gone to waste, so I might as well not go in tomorrow. No, it's fine, it's fine. You don't have to be perfect, you don't have, it's a lie, it's just a lie. Whoever says you've got to be perfect, it's just a lie. So it's interesting how perfectionists don't just feel like they have to be perfect in their work, but also in their internal state as well. So they're even harsher on themselves. So someone at the beginning said that they're a perfectionist and they find it that they're really harsh on themselves. Well, that's very, very true if you have these tendencies. So don't, you know, try and just be kinder to yourself. So rule number 1 was crank up your connections. So basically, don't try and do everything on your own. Make connections, you know, it's going to really help you in that area. Number 2, he says build up balance. This is quite easy for us all to do. When you're in the midst of change, Fletch suggests making a conscious effort to even out your life, spending more time on exercise, friendships, and hobbies. So this is nice. You know, these are the things that give meaning to our lives and make you less focused on achievements and more focused on compassion. It's really, really important, you know, and just living your life. You know, sometimes you just need a bit of time off. We've spoken about this lots of times. Go and sharpen the saw, but not necessarily sharpening the saw doing the work, sharpening the saw, doing a Mary Berry style cake, you know, or something that's going to just sharpen your saw, so when you come back and pick up that saw that's become blunt, it's sharp again. You're not going away, you know, coming back to a blunt saw again, you know. This is what AOT is helping me to do. Well, that's amazing. That's awesome, Sam. That is, and thank you so much for your contribution as well to Act on This. I've noticed you've been very active in the forums and stuff, and everybody, yeah, I really appreciate that. Anytime anybody posts anything in the forums, Act on This, or answers somebody's questions, or comments on a blog post or anything like that, it's brilliant, because it means that it takes a little bit of the weight off, you know, off me, and enables me to do stuff. I feel like I'm in therapy, because I feel like everything you're saying is to me. It's to everybody. It's absolutely everybody. So AOT, Vishal, is Act on This. It's an acting community that I run. The address is actonthis.tv, and if you're an actor, you'll get a lot from it. If you're not an actor, you might not, but it's entertaining anyway. I do a lot of interviews with actors and things like that, because I was told I would never make anything of myself as a child. It makes me harder on myself. Right, okay, well that's just a limiting belief, isn't it? We've spoke about those before, Kim. So that's something that was put on you years ago, and I was actually just filming some units for Bulletproof Actor on that today. Have I told you the story about elephants and the way elephants are trained as babies? Have I told you that story? Say yes if I have, because I won't go through it again, because I'll probably bore you. But it's a really interesting way for you to realise how your limiting beliefs can affect you now, when they were actually given to you so long ago. Okay, so Kim's not heard it. So for anyone who's heard it, bear with me, but Kim, I'll tell you. So it's really interesting. The way the baby elephants are trained is when they're first born and they're, you know, just so high off the ground, they have a rope tied around one of their feet, and if they want to be held, you know, if their owner, trainer, wants to, you know, keep them in a certain area, they will just lasso that rope over a pole. It's only like this big out of the ground, it's not very high. And the elephant initially is like, what's going on? And they'll try and struggle against it and pull the rope, and that pole, although it's not very far out of the ground, but the rope and the pole are too powerful for that elephant to escape from. So after a while, a couple of hours, that baby elephant goes, oh, forget it, I can't get away from this pole when I'm on this rope, I'm not going to bother trying. And it just thinks, when I'm on that pole, there's no way that I can escape. Now what's really interesting, what happens is that elephants live a long time. 25 years later, say 30 years later, when the elephant has grown so much stronger, is so much bigger, so much more capable of literally tearing that pole out of the ground, you know, just running off with that rope, totally, you know, escaping. As soon as the trainer puts the rope over the pole, the elephant doesn't even try, because it's still got in its head that limiting belief from 25 years ago that says, wait a minute, I've tried to struggle against this and I couldn't escape, therefore there is no point trying. And that's what us as human beings do. We are told at school we're never going to amount to anything, or we can't do anything. You know, you're told 15 years ago you're not good enough, your ability's not good enough. You know, people are told they're not good looking enough, they're not this, that enough. People grow and yet still don't get rid of those limiting beliefs. My English teacher told me I'd fail high GCSE paper, I fought her on it, ended up with an A. Well, there you go. Amazing. But people, you know, have these limiting beliefs instilled in them all those years ago. You know, and then they carry those through the rest of their life. I've definitely got friends, I won't mention any names, but I've definitely got friends who were told at school, 11, 10, 12 years old, that they were behind in their, whether it was spelling or their reading or whatever, and their mental age or whatever was a couple of years behind what they really were, their actual age. And to this day, they still have hang-ups about reading in public. You know, if you go to a wedding or something, I can't read, I was told at school I was rubbish and I can't read. Even though 20 years have gone by and they can read perfectly. I was the same with English. My teacher done that to me and you got a B. Well, you go, Sasha, B's good. But yeah, so it's interesting how people carry these limiting beliefs throughout their life, and that's a huge part of Bulletproof Actor and how you get rid of those limiting beliefs. And there's some great exercises that I guarantee you guys, I'm going to eradicate all of this bullshit from your minds. It's going to be gone. So rule number 2, build up the balance. So go and do some stuff that's going to, you know, that's not focused on your achievements. It's actually going to focus on things like, it says there, exercise, friendships, hobbies, things that you're going to enjoy, that you don't have to be perfect about. Rule number 3, this is the big one. You've got to own up to the health risks. So we saw at the beginning, you know, perfectionists live with more stress than any others. And while they may get away with it when they're young, it begins to catch up with them in midlife and they encounter more health problems. The running's going really well. I thought we'd hate it. Awesome, Laura. Keep up the running. We're all going to be doing the 10K in May together. Once perfectionists have been diagnosed with a chronic illness, such as diabetes, says Flett, they typically fare worse than others, because therefore they're going, you know what will happen to them, won't you? When you get diagnosed with something that makes you imperfect, for a perfectionist, you go, oh my God, I'm not perfect anymore. I've got diabetes. Oh, it's terrible. I've brought it all on myself. Oh, I hate myself. I'm a terrible person. Oh, then nothing's perfect anymore. I might as well just forget it all. That's what happens. So ironically, by being a perfectionist and causing so much stress on yourself, you're going to ruin the things that are perfect later on in life. Nice one, Laura. I'm behind as I'm ill. Yeah, don't worry about running when you're ill. Just get better. We're still excited and motivated. We've got plenty of time for training. So, to conclude, the next time you catch yourself becoming obsessed with doing something just so, ask yourself, is it worth it? Adopt a new mantra. So Fleck likes the line from Denzel Washington's character in The Equalizer. I know you've seen the film, top film. It's progress, not perfection. Alright guys, so that sums it up, basically, the whole thing. It is progress, not perfection. So for me, moving forward, filming Bulletproof Actor, I am going to bring you guys the best product that I can possibly bring to market. And once it's out there, it'll be brilliant. But once it's out there, then I can perfect on it. You know what? Because the platform that I build it on, where you'll have all your lessons and all the videos, and you can download your PDFs and listen to your podcasts and all that stuff that comes with Bulletproof Actor, I can just add stuff to that as you go along. So those who get in and buy the product, I'll probably throw in loads of stuff down the line that I go, you know what guys, I've changed this, I've just added another module, I'm thinking about this, how to make it better. And those who've already bought it will get all that stuff for free anyway. So I'll perfect it as I go along. I now realise I don't need to launch a perfect product, because it's progress and not perfection. So heart it up if you like the idea of that, and also give me some experiences you've had that you might now pursue, or something that you're thinking of doing that you might go, right, you know what, sack it, I'm going to do it, because it doesn't have to be perfect. That idea I was going to do for that short film, doesn't have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. I'm now going to go and make it, and then I can perfect it once it's done, or I can film stuff again, or anything like that, because otherwise it's going to stay in your head. It's just going to stay up here. Think about the amount of people, I think it was Les Brown who said the richest place in the world is the graveyard. He says the amount of people who take with them to their grave the books, the songs, the films, all these things that people have in their head that they take to the grave with them, because they're scared of getting them out of their head, because they're not going to be perfect. It's the richest place, and you don't want on your deathbed up here these books looking over you, and these songs looking over you, and these films looking over you, and going, Archie, today I finally booked voice coaching one-to-ones. Amazing, awesome. So yeah, Archie, you don't want these things looking over you, going, Archie, this film in your head or whatever it is, going, you were the only one who could have made me a reality, and now it's never going to happen. You don't want to be that person. Kim going, oh, that I don't know, play, song, whatever, you were the only one that could have made that happen, and you didn't, because you were afraid that it wasn't going to be perfect, therefore you didn't do it. So that's the message. Nat Grady, she's great. Nat Grady's really good, Archie. So yeah, if anyone's looking for voice coaching, vocal coaching, or accent coaching, Nat Grady's great. She does stuff over Skype. I think she'll do one-to-ones in person as well. But she's very, very good voice teacher as well. Yeah, so check her out. Also, if you want to do accents as well, when I was doing Cradle to Grave, that thing with Peter Kay, it was all Cockney, yeah. Everyone went to talk like that, yeah. And we had a dialect coach on the set with us who was helping Peter, because Peter's from Bolton and he has to do a London accent. That's quite a stretch for someone who's normally garlic bread. It's not a very good impression. And there was a group of guys there, great dialect accent coaches, who have created an app called Accent Kit, and you can get that for really cheap, and that's really good for learning accents. I'm going to record some scenes for my show reel, says Kim. Brilliant. Remember, done, better than perfect. Boom, definitely. Chris Stone's not on the scope tonight, otherwise he'd do you some show reel scenes. Check out chrisstonefilms.com. Cheesecake, yeah, cheesecake. So that's it. just don't worry about being perfect. Whoever told you had to be perfect lied. Okay, and I had to remind myself of that this weekend just gone. So from now on, I'm just going to focus on getting shit done and not worrying about it being perfect. Otherwise, things just don't get done. Our productivity drops. So thanks for watching, guys. That's it for tonight. I'll be back on Wednesday, where we will be looking at more motivation and mind hacks. I have no idea what's going to happen on Wednesday. I'm going to film a small role on series 2 of Happy Valley tomorrow, over in Bradford. So I'm going to be there and there overnight. I don't wrap till 11:30 tomorrow night, but I'm going to be filming a role on that. I'll fill you in a little bit of whatever I can tell you about that on Wednesday. Cheers, Sasha. So whatever happens tomorrow, maybe that'll give me another topic for a scope on Wednesday. Yeah, you guys can equally suggest stuff though, so either get it in the Facebook group or tweet me. It's at Ross A. Grant or at Bulletproof Act. Every time I cough these scopes, my Yorkshire accent comes back. I'm at Royal Exchange on Wednesday. Oh, amazing! Awesome. Are you? What's on at the Royal? What's on at the Exchange, Sam? Don't know what's even on at the moment at all. Yeah, I guess you're watching, or you're in something, or what is it? Happy Valley Well Gel. Yeah, I know. Well, I've not. I did some ADR, Nina, on Happy Valley last year, but I was never in it. So Red, the Red production company who make it, asked me to just go in and do some Pomona. Okay, cool. I've not seen anything of it, but I've seen people tweeting stuff, Sam. But yes, I know I've been in Happy Valley. I went for audition as a newsreader earlier this year, and I think they ended up just getting a real newsreader from Sky News to do it. So that part went out of the window. And then a few weeks went by, and then I just got a call to go from my agent going, they've just offered you a different role completely. As a DC, it's like a copper. As I always get coppers because I just look like a copper, obviously. And I'd given up on getting any role in it because I thought, oh well, that one's gone. There was obviously nothing else in it for me. And then call out the blue going, will you do this? So you never know, guys. Just do a good job in your auditions. And you will just sometimes get the call out of the blue that just goes, you don't have to audition for this part, we've seen you do that and you were alright or you were good, so I'm going to give you this part instead. So have the faith, you know, just focus on doing a good job and then forget about it. And then it's lovely when you get a call like that because it's out of the blue and you weren't expecting it, and it's just like, there you go, bonus, which is nice. I'll try and smash it, Sam. It's not a massive part, I'm only in a couple of scenes, but it should be a good laugh. Sarah Lancashire is awesome, Nina. She's great. She's great. I've been at a lot of read-throughs where Sarah Lancashire's been there, and she is very, very good. Yeah, she's excellent. So I'll report back on Wednesday about that. But like I say, if you want to get in touch, get on the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Bulletproof Actor, or tweet me at Ross A. Grant, or tweet Bulletproof Actor, which is at Bulletproof Act. Rock and roll. Thanks so much for watching. It's 25 to 11 now. Go and get your head down and think about not being perfect this week. Just go out there and get shit done. I'll speak to you Wednesday, guys. Goodbye. Oh no, that was almost so smooth, wasn't it? Almost, until I just knocked the tripod over. Do you know what? Scopes that have to be perfect. Look at this, on a bit of a skewy angle. I'm not bothered anymore. See you later.